how do you be an ally? You listen to Bob Marley. And what I mean by that is that he famously says, right, if you don't know your history, you won't know where you're coming from, right? And as we've had this discussion, almost all of my references are historical because you can't really understand the atrocity and the anger in the moment we're in without understanding the history. And I'm not necessarily talking about the big peak moments or the flyby Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks history. I'm talking about, do you know, have you read accounting records of slaveholders? Right? Just like humanizing 401 years of stuff. Like looking in a ledger where a person who was sound of mind took a fountain pen and wrote in a ledger thousands of times the statistics, quite literally the statistics of another human being that he owned. Right? Do you know that a young boy, Johnny Williams in Ocala, Florida, was flayed? That is a fancy hunter term for having your skin removed from your body without damaging the muscle because of an accused sexual assault against a white woman. Just slow down and think about to skin a deer. This dude got skinned like a deer because somebody said that he did something. We have to know history. We have to know what's happened. And once you know that, then you will have a clearer picture on why people are angry and why people are frustrated and why people are willing to die on this hill. Because at every turn, without scratching the surface very deeply, there's just atrocity after atrocity after atrocity that is systematically swept under the rug or denied or rationalized or you get blamed for, right? 13th, which is, it's good. I love Ava, which is great. I think everybody should watch it, but that touches the surface. That touches the surface of the injustice, right? And I'd say, like, where do you start? You start somewhere and then you read the next book, right? So you watch 13th and then that sparks an idea of, wow, do really 1 in 3 Black men end up in prison? Not in the criminal justice system, but prison. That's crazy. To get to prison, right, you have to have some interaction with a cop. A cop has to take you to jail, and then you have to get accused, and then you have to get convicted, and then you go to prison. That's a lot of contact with the criminal justice system. So 1 in 3 Black men ends up in prison. That's not to mention the people who have interactions with cops, who get tickets, who get stuck in jail for counting for a little bit, right? We've got lawyers on the call, right? Like, to in prison, that is like the ultimate punishing thing. 1 in 3 Black people end up there, Black men end up there, right? To know those things and to have a facility with that will make you a much better ally. Right. And the last hard thing I'll say to this group is, like, feeling bad about it won't cut it. It won't cut it. Like, the world does not need people to feel bad. We need people to know what happened, know what to do, and to move forward. Because, like, feeling bad about it actually paralyzes. It paralyzes. Right. Like, again, coming back to any other relationship, right? Like, my partner doesn't need me to feel bad about not taking out the trash. What does she need? She needs me to take out the trash, right? She needs me to do something. It's good to feel, it's good to be empathetic, it's good to be sympathetic, but that has to drive you to action.
Jason?
Yep.
I have a question about questions.
Go for it, Ben.
I didn't submit a question, but I have a question. Can I message it to you?
Yeah, you can put it in the chat. You can put it in the chat, or you can just open up your mic and fire away. I just wanted to give people the opportunity to ask an anonymous question, just because.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll own mine question. That's fine.
All right.
So I'll ask the question that I had. I was just curious. So I'm in quarantine in a place that's not my usual home, and I can't really go anywhere. And I don't particularly see the productivity of posting lots of memes on the internet. We could probably talk about that more, but my question is, what do you feel is the most productive use of my time and energy and effort to promote the cause? I don't know, like Black Lives Matter is a label for a cause. So like, what can I do to help support the progress of our country and equality, and also help support my brothers and sisters in all parts of the spectrum?
Yeah, I think two things about that. I think one, I think we have, and this is intentional too, right? We have to understand this and approach this from a history perspective. One, we have been explicitly taught that progress is over here and one day we will get there. That in fact is an illusion. And I would suggest vigilance, right? So you're a gardener and do those things, right? And a gardener has to stay vigilant in their territory every day, because if you just sort of one day say, hey, I'm going to plant these seeds and walk away, that's just not how that works, right? You have to go through every day and pull out the seeds. And I would say, knowing where you are specifically in the country, one, you are on the front lines in many ways, in a much more challenging situation than I am, right? And then two, using your time, gifts, and talents there to have difficult conversations will move the conversation forward. There's no illusion of these people over here are doing more important work than these people over here, right? I happen to have more time on my hands where I can go out and help organize and march in the streets and sort of do those things. But at every single dinner table in every part of the country, an important conversation needs to happen over and over and over and over for any progress to happen. So it creates a false narrative of how can I support them when there's actually millions of opportunities every single day in and around your specific place to make a difference, you know? Like even just like checking a loose comment at dinner, right? Checking a loose comment or a stare at the grocery store, right? Painting something, right? Using your specific place, right? Because one of the things that happens is that it's a lie, but people tend to believe that they're not useful, right? And that some gifts are overvalued and undervalued. And that's exactly the problem that got us here in the first place, right? Assigning a disproportionate value to one set of characteristics over another.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome.